I knew I needed something because I was struggling a bit on the heavy, on the 900-pound bike. Like I said, I've been riding my whole life, but these are a completely different animal with low speed handling. You've got to know techniques or else you're just going to struggle with the weight. I've really gotten a lot out of it. Plus I'm having fun here.
Yeah.
I would just say learn it right. The bad habits will be so hard to overcome and it'll just set you back, just like in golf. So being out here, having someone that's proficient with it, show you what to do from the beginning so you're practicing the right things will save a ton of time.
You could be the best street rider, track rider, racer, and this is a whole set of skills that you probably don't know you need and you don't have, you know. So that's my only thing. I mean, that was a surprise to me too. I thought that's what it was all about, is you know, fast turns.
You're sitting on a power plant of tremendous power, and you're giving all that up and trying to hold it up and walking around and maneuver it with your own body strength. The thing has enough strength for all of us. You just got to learn how to use that strength and move that bike around.
I did interviews with our regular participants that come to our practice sessions, Mike and Rich and Jeff and Mike from Vero. And I'm going to share those interviews with you and get a perspective from a new rider all the way up to experienced riders, what it is like to practice these exercises all the time and repeatedly improve and work on your skills and what the benefits are. So I hope you enjoy that. It's a special video for all of our community here of practicers. And if you're new to the channel, we practice so we can fear our motorcycles less, so we can enjoy the experience of motorcycling more. So we're going to get into it today and see how things go. So this is Rich. He's been practicing with us for quite a while now, almost a year.
About a year.
Yeah. And how long have you been riding a motorcycle?
Since I was 11.
Since you were 11?
Yeah.
And what kind of bikes do you ride?
You name it, I've had it. Mostly dirt bikes, mostly racing, but I've had a lot of bikes, and once I got started, I just kept on going.
All right, so what kind of bikes do you have now?
I've got the Fat Boy here, and I've got a 2015 Road Glide Special.
And you ride with your wife on the back on that
Yes,
one?
I do, yeah.
Okay. And what kind of trips why do you ride? Like, what kind of riding do you do?
Well, right now it's only road riding. We just did a cross country that we enjoyed. But yeah, mostly just staying on the street now. I don't have a dirt bike.
Okay.
Thinking about it.
Thinking about it,
yeah.
huh? After Will comes all the time with his dirt bike?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what had you start practicing with us here?
What made me start?
Well, what were you thinking in your head? Like, what had you come over and start practicing with us?
Well, that I could learn something.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Which is rare in a veteran motorcyclist.
yeah, right. But no, I knew I needed something because I was struggling a bit on the heavy, on the 900-pound bike. Like I said, I've been riding my whole life, but these are a completely different animal with low speed handling. So I've really gotten a lot out of it. Plus I'm having fun here.
Yeah. So when you first started, was it different than what you had ever learned or used as far as techniques go?
Yes, because I've only been riding the heavies for almost 3.5 years now. And before that, it was lighter bikes, which, you know, they're easy to throw around, and physics don't apply to them as much as these do.
Uh-huh.
You know, so you've got to know techniques, or else you're just going to struggle with the weight. It's a chore. If you don't know the proper techniques, you're going to end up struggling.
So what did you find the most paradigm shifting in riding ability?
I'd say friction zone and covering the rear brake, and playing with your RPMs when you're going slow. But the combination, which is keeping it loaded all the time, that combination changed everything for me.
Yeah, so most people when they learn to ride associate the throttle being high with speed. So they don't want to put that throttle up into that preload position.
Correct.
And not be moving.
Right.
And they don't want to let the clutch out because they feel like they're going to go too fast. So
Yes.
how did that transition happen for you? Like, you adopted that and then you started using it. Was there resistance at first, or?
No. I found it beneficial as soon as I started doing it.
Okay.
And to get the combination of all three, brake, friction, throttle, that took some time to get everything coordinated properly.
Yeah.
But once you hit that sweet spot, you get it figured out,
Yeah.
man, everything gets easy after that.
Yeah, and so how does that affect your on the street riding, especially with your wife on the back and the big bike and traveling? How has it made a difference in that?
Huge difference. One of the things we take it for granted is the slow starts and stops. And that was one of my biggest things I was struggling with in the beginning, was with her on the back, high center of gravity, coming to a stop properly without destroying my legs. My first couple of rides on the road glide, I couldn't walk for 2 days afterwards because my legs were so sore because I wasn't using the right technique. My eyes weren't focused in the right place, and I was just completely doing it wrong. And since I've started doing this and picked up these different techniques, I'm having so much more fun. It's a non-issue now in traffic, putting my feet down, stopping the bike. Sometimes I don't even put my feet down anymore.
Right, you don't have to, right?
I don't have to, yeah. And trust and believe, I practice that all the time. It's a game with me. I see how long I can stay up without putting my feet down.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. And so what were you doing before to stop that made your legs hurt that you're not doing anymore?
I wasn't focusing my eyes properly. I was more looking at the bike than I was the obstacle in front of me.
Uh-huh.
Where now I concentrate on that obstacle in front of me, do not look at the bike at all, and I find myself coming to a nice smooth stop every single time. And there's Mike.
And we got Mike. Awesome. I got somebody else to interview.
That's not a BMW. Oh, yes, it is.
It's a littler bike, huh?
Brought the other bike.
Ah. Okay, so last question. What would you say to somebody who is a longtime rider who is resistant to learning these skills?
Come out and try it. And don't be intimidated, and don't give up after the first session. It's like so many things. You've got to do it consistently, repetitively, and it will come to you. You'll get the three main factors: clutch, throttle, and brake. Once you get that figured out, which may take a few sessions, then you're going to have fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. All right, so Jeff is a new rider, right?
Yes, new rider.
How long have you been riding a motorcycle?
Well, I've owned a bike for a few years, but I would say as far as practicing and trying to learn, I'm pretty wet. So I would say let's go with since Tampa. So,
Since Tampa, so September.
yeah, as far as trying to really learn and the proper techniques.
Okay,
So,
and you started off with a big bike.
well, I actually, yes, I had a Road King for a little while and just would do some basic things. I'm a parking lot sort of learn and, I'm afraid to go on the streets and, so I'm trying to learn slowly and correctly right now.
Awesome. Okay, so you decided to subscribe to like learning skills before you went out on the road.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So what had you do that? Most people just get their endorsement and then ride.
Yeah, well, pretty much just pure fear. Going out and not having the skills to navigate, even stopping the bike and struggling with the weight of a Road King, and that's where I happened on Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle. And, I started trying to implement some of that on my own, which you saw that wasn't working out too well either. So there's something about being here and really having somebody tell you what you're doing wrong. So that's made a big difference. I can at least stop a bike and start a bike usually. So You know, it's about learning the technique, and that's what's intriguing to me.
Yeah, because you're a golf instructor, right?
Yes, retired golf instructor. So yeah, technique has always been important to me, and I just wouldn't want to do something and be naive about every aspect of it, especially something like this.
Right. So in golf, if you hit the ball wrong, you're not really going to die.
You're not going to die, but you're going to die inside. It used to drive me crazy. So yeah, I always wanted to know what I was doing, and that was a lifelong pursuit. And you never actually get there, but it's the pursuit that's sort of fun about that.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that anything you want to do all of a sudden gets more technical, and I like diving in and trying to learn it correctly. So yeah, that's important to me.
Awesome. And so what have you found as far as like being on the road, because you do ride on the road a little bit?
Yeah.
You know, you
yeah.
got here.
Yeah.
And has anything changed since you started learning these skills to now, like where you can do some of these skills and you're riding on the road?
Huge. Yeah, I feel like probably being on the road now, I have no fear as far as stopping the bike. I feel like those skills have transferred immediately to that. So, you know, I think you learned that's a whole different set of skills being on the road, and but you know, controlling your bike, you know, just like something being in the road and knowing how to navigate that, or even getting gas. You know, that was fear for me, because you know, you've got to go in, you got to have your speed right, and all of a sudden this friction zone covering the brake, you know, it's just being able to handle the bike, and
right.
Yeah, that's made a huge difference.
And so it's funny because most people don't like to talk about that they're actually afraid on the motorcycle, especially guys, right?
Yeah.
And you had a huge fear of dropping your bike.
Yeah.
And so now talk about that. Like, so you did it, you dropped it one time.
I didn't have a real fear until I heard somebody talk about breaking their ankle and breaking their legs. So that kind of stoked the fires with that. But yeah, I dropped it last time I was here, and some of the little tips kicked in as far as getting out of the way of the bike, just let it sort of tip over. And, you know, in video, I saw that I could have done that better, you know, because my foot was still sort of under. So probably today I'll drop the bike as well, but that fear has dissipated just having done it now. And, you know, that might help in terms of committing to some of the exercises.
I'll bet. And what about, did anything happen to your bike?
No, nothing at all. I just got the engine guard, so I think that even allowed me to drop the bike in a weird way, or commit a little bit more to the drills that we're
Letting
doing.
it go over.
Yeah, so now I feel free from that, and if it drops, that's okay.
And do you feel like now if it drops, you don't have this big unknown?
Absolutely, yeah.
So
yeah.
you're not so fearful about it?
Yeah, probably every drop's going to be a little bit different, you know. But at the speeds we're going and where I'm at in the stages of exercises, I don't think that's going to be anything earth-shattering as far as the whole bike disintegrates or I break, you know, a couple bones. But, you know, it's a huge thing. The thing's 900 pounds. And once it sort of gets beyond a point, there's no stopping it. So at that point, just let it go, and everything will be fine. So yeah, the engine guards have made a huge difference with that, and the drop guards as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Anything
okay.
else you'd want to add to a new rider thinking about learning to ride a motorcycle?
I would just say learn it right. The bad habits will be so hard to overcome, and it'll just set you back, just like in golf. So being out here, having someone that's proficient with it, show you what to do from the beginning, so you're practicing the right things, will save a ton of time.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so this is Mike. He rides a BMW. He's actually got two of them. You'll see in our practice sessions. So how long have you been riding a motorcycle?
Probably since, let's see, 25 years.
25 years?
Yeah.
And what kind of motorcycles do you ride?
A GS, which is a dual sport or adventure bike, and then also an RT, which is a sport touring bike, another BMW.
Another BMW.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been practicing, like slow speed type stuff?
I started a few years ago. I started with a course with the in Tampa, and then I found out the Ride Like a Pro. I mean, sorry, like
That was Tampa,
yeah,
yeah.
and then Be the Boss. I found a Robert Simmons course a year and a half ago because my daughter lives in Savannah, so I went through a couple of those, and then I ran into this one here, and now I attend this one semi-regularly.
And so what have you learned from the time, because you've been riding for 25 years and you've only been doing this for how long?
Probably about 3 years I've been doing slow speed stuff.
Okay.
On and off.
And what attracted you to the slow speed stuff?
You know, I no longer had interest in high-speed skill stuff like track and you know, scraping peg stuff, and I realized there's a whole bunch of skills that I didn't have in slow speed, which is more controlled and safer, and you can do it anywhere. You don't need to go to a track or find a fast road.
Awesome. And so what did you learn that you didn't know before that you're using now?
Well, I guess the combination of the the throttle, how that keeps up the bike, and then the rear brake, and you know, the head and eyes, and then just, I mean, so much is never, you're never finished learning the slow speed stuff. I mean, you can always get better, and so yeah, I learn stuff every time.
And has it improved your riding on the road?
Definitely. I mean, because a lot of, especially living in town, most of your riding is coming to stops, starting, you know, controlling the bike at slower speeds, and I think it makes you safer in general, you know, with your head and eyes, and I think that you have a better control of the bike. I mean, anyone can, like you guys say, anyone can go fast in a straight line, but it's controlling the bike, you know, turn, stopping, slow down, that kind of stuff.
So what's been the biggest benefit of all? And what has you come back all the time?
Well, I like the tight turning, the U-turns, all that kind of stuff, because I didn't have a whole lot of confidence doing that stuff before, and you know, you always want to get better, and I like doing that. I like doing it, you know, when I have to make a U-turn. I like the fact that I can do it now.
So when you come up to a situation that you've been practicing for on the road, are you like bring it, like, let's go, I want to try my skills, or are you like, I got to do it?
Well, I mean, I'm happy that I get to try it. I'm not super confident, you know, because like I always judge the width. It's hard to judge the width without the cones, so I'm like, can I really do this? And then I get hesitant, but that's why I'm here, to get more confident.
Awesome. Okay, anything you'd like to add to somebody who's been riding for years, to have them come on out and try these types of exercises?
I mean, the same thing that's been said. I mean, you could be the best street rider, track rider, racer, and this is a whole set of skills that you probably don't know you need, and you don't have, you know. So that's my only thing. I mean, that was a surprise to me too. I mean, I wasn't a great high-speed rider, but I thought that's what it was all about, is you know, fast turns. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so this is Mike, my husband. He's been riding. How long have you been riding for?
40 years, 41 years.
And what kind of bikes have you ridden?
All road bikes, from a little Suzuki 550 all the way up to big fat touring bikes.
Okay. And what had you start riding a motorcycle?
You know what? I loved motorcycling. I had mini bikes as a kid. There was always some attraction to me with two-wheeled vehicles, motorcycles. Just loved them, and I finally wrangled my way into getting my first one, and never stopped.
Okay. And how much riding have you done?
Extensive, well, you know, like in terms of miles or states? So
ridden
I've
all over
ridden
the country?
even up until this past summer, when we rode 22,000 miles, probably 250,000 miles, and I had ridden in 46 states. So big into like trip riding, touring.
Okay, and you've never done slow speed before?
Nah, never. I had heard of people doing it, and I dismissed it.
And why did you dismiss it?
Well, because I had ridden in 46 states and 200,000 miles, and I never had a problem. Like, it worked. Like, I never thought that there was something more. Like, I didn't get it. I saw I'd see little videos of the police doing the thing, and I just thought, you know, whatever you're into, but I just, you know, I like riding on the road and taking trips, and it always worked. Like, it worked for me.
Okay. And so what had you start doing slow speed skills?
You were learning. So you learning how to ride, coming from no idea how to do anything on a motorcycle, was a real wake up for me, because there were so many things that you just stepped over. I didn't even know what to teach you because I just did so much of it intuitively. But then when I realized how to break down the slow speed operation, I realized that I was stepping over that too. Like I didn't know how to really do that stuff. So when I started to get it was when you were practicing and I just was fooling around the parking lot. It was like this discovery, right? Like, wow, oh, it does that. It stands up when you do that. Like it was crazy. After all that time on a motorcycle, I thought I was, as good as anybody.
And you rode with me on the back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I was fine.
I mean, you could get by.
Mm-hmm.
So what made it better for you? What enhanced it?
You know what it is? The thing about that, as I think about it, is what I would do to avoid situations on the road. Like I could, we rode mountains, we rode curves, we rode all the technical stuff, the hard stuff at speed. But if it came to like a real tight U-turn or something, I'd find a parking lot to turn right and then wheel around and go back. Like I would. So what the benefit for me was an added level of confidence at any speed, including the at slow speed or in traffic, the ability to quickly maneuver the motorcycle more than just through speed and steering. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like a slow speed, like powering the bike up, and I really felt like I had a lot more dexterity with the bike. That's probably the best way to say it. Yep.
Okay. And so why do you continue to practice?
Because once you start to get it a little bit, maybe it's greater or less than for others, but for me, and I think for most people, once you start to get a little taste of that and how fun it is, it's just fun. So then it's like any other pursuit. It could be golf or any other hobby or whatever. You get a little bit and you want to get better and you want to get a little bit better. Or maybe one time you get a really good one and then you can't do that really good one again, so you want to do it again and do it again. So it's like you just want to get reps now. It's fun. Listen, there's only so many places you can go or times you can just get on the bike and go to the restaurant or go to the bar, which is what a lot of people do. We don't like to do that. So it's just a fun thing to do on the bike. It's like playing with toys. It's fooling around and getting better. Oh, and by the way, you're improving your skills on the road.
And you were somebody who's never really dropped your bike before.
Yeah, like never.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, my very first bike, I'm 19 years old, loose gravel, like we know now, to keep it straight up. I didn't keep it straight up, skipped out. Like that's the only time. All those years and all those miles.
Never dropped your bike.
In a lot of tricky dirt situations, because as soon as that would happen, stop, walk, feet down. You're like I was strong enough to move, any of the bikes around, but I didn't have any idea how to work with the bike under its own power and get me out of situations,
Okay, and so the idea of dropping your bike was like adverse to you, right? Initially?
Oh, it was unthinkable. Like you just didn't. I'd be riding with groups, and a guy would drop the bike, and it was like horrifying. Like just on turnaround. Like, oh my God, I can't believe he dropped his bike. It was like the craziest thing. Now, right? It's now that said, I didn't have the protection on the bike on those bikes that I have now, right? So I didn't have the engine guards and the drop guards and things like that. So if I would have dropped it, it would have been, I kept my bikes really nice, right? So it would have been a scratch or a mark or whatever. And I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of, wrecking their bike or damaging their bike.
Right, so you put these drop guards on and now you don't really fear. I mean, there is an initial fear of dropping your bike because you never do it.
Right.
And then you've done it and now it's not so...
Yeah. No, I mean, you honestly, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for it, but it's like you almost want to drop it just to get that out of the way. Let's take that off the table as the worst possible thing that could happen when you're in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Just practicing. You like one of the guys that we ride with just dropped his like for the first time, and it was this big celebration. Like, oh my God, everyone's okay. You know, it's okay. It just fell over, and then we pick it up and off we go. No damage.
Yeah. And also the feeling of dropping your bike because you don't know what you're gonna do.
Right.
Like, it's good to know what you're gonna do to react, right?
It may sound funny, but there is a technique to it, right? There is a technique to dropping the bike, which you learned early on in your riding. Like, you want to not, do certain things. You want to let go and get away from it. Don't put your feet down. Don't get them under the bike, right? Just let it go. Let it drop.
Let it drop, right? Yeah. And step off it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And learn how to pick it up.
And learn. I still don't know how to pick up my bike. Okay, so what could you add to somebody who is a longtime rider like yourself, who's been proficient on the road, never dropped their bike, proud of that, to have them come into the parking lot and try to do some of these maneuvers? What are the things you think about, and what would be the benefits of overcoming those?
Yeah, what always comes to mind when I think about that is there's a quote I read once about having a lack of imagination, meaning, as a motorcyclist, meaning they're not really, riders generally aren't really imagining what could happen on the road. And there are severe consequences with a motorcycle on the road. It's more than learning a hobby of any other hobby, golf or whatever. So what I think the benefits are is that confidence at slow speed that you don't even really realize is a thing until you try it. Like we have a lot of people just try it and never come back. For some reason it's scary and it's foreign, because anything new is scary and foreign, right? But to get familiar with that, I would say try it, show up, run through the basics of the exercises. And the thing is, there's a lot of ego with motorcycle riders. Typically with men, I'll say that. A lot of guys I ride with for years and years are like dismissive about it. Just like I was, like I'm fine, I know how to do it. But they don't, right? I didn't know how to do it. We start with the most easiest of exercises, the stops and starts, and you see people of long time experience not figuring that out very well. So what I would say for a long-time motorcycle rider is, first of all, if you like motorcycling, it's fun. It's just fun to play on the motorcycle. It's fun to learn new things on the motorcycle. To me, it's like unlocking levels of what the motorcycle is capable of, and it's really makes riding a lot more fun, in my opinion. Anytime you're in some boring, parking lots, or you're in a restaurant or parking lot or a gas station parking lot, you're like, oh man, I can do that now. I'm gonna try that. Like, won't that be fun? Do a couple of, U-turns or circles. But in the end, it's building, in my opinion, to give a long answer to a short question, it's the confidence that you feel a lot more dexterity on the bike. You're in more control of the bike. So you feel like you're a little bit safer, at least a little bit, in the real world. Like how to move around objects, how to move around cars. You just feel like, yeah, that's still risky on the bike, but you're really mitigating the risk by building your skills.
And what would you say to somebody who has a wife who wants to learn and thinks they can teach her herself?
That's just the worst thing to do. That's the worst thing you could do. First of all, so I don't want to insult anyone, but the reality check is, does the husband really understand how to teach someone how to ride a motorcycle? I'm a good teacher, I'm a good trainer, I'm a good speaker with my whole career. And I wasn't comfortable teaching and training you how to ride a motorcycle. And I'd ridden a motorcycle for 40 years. If I am not the candidate to teach a brand new person who's a smart person and a good learner, then I don't think most people are, to be honest with you. So the best move would be supportive. Get her into something like this, some kind of training course. Have her watch the videos. Learn how to work at the slowest speed possible. I can't believe how many people I see in here of new riders getting on the road. Oh, just follow me, honey. Or put her in the front and have her go on a road. To me, that's reckless. That's reckless endangerment. All in a parking lot until you get really, really comfortable before you put her on the road. Don't think you're so good that you can just teach her how to do it. It's more complicated than you like to think it is. That's my opinion.
Okay. And how hard can it be if a 60-year-old woman can learn how to do this and do it pretty well?
You know what's interesting about that is it's just a series of fundamentals. So anyone can learn them. Like anyone can. If you can walk and work your hands and feet at some level of dexterity, which can be learned, anyone can learn it. Like, here's the real secret, I guess. The real thing that people don't know and understand. I say this with confidence: is it doesn't matter how big or small someone is. You can ride a motorcycle, and you can ride a bigger motorcycle like our motorcycles. Like, you're sitting on a power plant of tremendous power, and you're giving all that up and trying to hold it up and walk it around and maneuver it with your own body strength. The thing has enough strength for all of us. You just got to learn how to use that strength and move that bike around, for sure.
Any final thoughts?
I would say it's better to burn out than to fade away. No, I don't. No other thoughts. Learn how to ride a motorcycle. It's so much fun. It's tons of fun. And get proficient. Anyone can go straight. Anyone can go to the bars and the restaurants and stop and eat and putt home. If that's what you want to do, then that's great. You know, God bless and stay safe. But you really want to enjoy motorcycle touring, you got to learn how to operate that bike at slow speeds.
Awesome.
The end.
Thank you.